Do you like beer?
Do you like podcasts?
Do you like beer podcasts?
Then check out Crackin' One Open, a podcast about brews, news, and pop culture reviews.
Every week, we crack open a new craft beer from breweries around the country.
And sometimes the world.
We'll talk about how it was made, what's in it, the history of the brew, and the brewery.
Then we'll give our tasting notes, and while we're finishing up, we'll talk about some of the latest goings-on in the world of pop culture.
So check out Crackin' One Open with Mike and Elise, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hey, Field Hang 10! Watch out for a new wave of episodes for Forgotten Cinema Season 9, Forgotten Summer.
Ugh, really, Butler? A theme season? Let me guess, we're gonna talk about films that were released in the coveted summer months that for some reason seem to be forgotten by audiences.
You know it, bro. What we liked about them or maybe didn't. But we'll always recommend people check them out. Maybe they'll find their own Forgotten Summer gem.
So check out Forgotten Summer wherever you get your podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hold on, gotta catch this wave.
We're sitting at desk in the recording booth.
Hello there, and welcome Nerdy Nights to the Well-Rounded Table to Bohemian Geek Studies, where we take extremely dorky dives into our favorite fandoms. I'm Colleen McMillan, Jedi Master and Rebel Scum collaborator.
And I am Pirate Jedi, Anders Drew. But no matter what rank you carry, one thing will always remain constant. Much to learn, we still have.
Exactly. Today, we're very excited to give our initial reactions and theories for the newest episodes of The Bad Batch. There will be spoilers for the episodes, as well as rampant theorizing for future episodes. So if you'd like to avoid that, please tune into our Rebels coverage and see what the Ghost Crew is up to instead. But if you have seen the episodes we're going to cover, grab a drink from the mess and join us in welcoming back a couple of familiar faces as we discuss the Bad Batch episodes 8 Reunion and 9 Bounty Lost.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so we're going to head right into our episode recap, starting off with Reunion, episode 8. Damn, what an episode. Whew.
Mm-hmm.
I had to watch it twice because I was like, what the fuck just happened?
It was a great mid-finale.
So good. Amazing. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a break just to be dicks about it and be
but
like,
streaming doesn't really know how to do that yet.
They don't. And I don't blame them for not doing it. If
Definitely.
It were prime time, they totally would have done it.
Oh, yeah.
To us, because assholes. And that's just how they keep us watching. We still will watch. Just give it to us next week. Okay, so we knew to expect the Empire on Bracca, but this got crazier as the episode went on. We start with Crosshair letting Admiral Rampart know that the Bad Batch have been spotted on Bracca. Interesting aside, though, with Rampart warning Lama Su that he needs to know everything that's happening on Camino. Oh my God. He can't. He has to be apprised of everything. Yes, the bureaucrats micromanage. They need to know everything. Rampart sends Crosshair to kill, not apprehend the Bad Batch. And then we get Wrecker hilariously trying to teach Omega how to disarm an explosive. Very sadistic method here. We love you, Wrecker, but this was rough.
Absolutely. This is absolutely
She's like
how...
10.
So what? They were doing this when they were like just out of the pod.
I know, but she's not just she's just like, oh yeah, that seems easy. He's like, oh yeah, well, you do it then. And of course she cuts the wrong cord. But it's fine because he didn't actually give her live ordnance to work with.
Exactly.
After this smoke bomb goes off, we have Wrecker and Echo spot the scrappers. They're like, oh shit, we've been seen. Yeah, you've already been seen a few times, guys. You missed the first one. But they don't realize the Empire is already on the way. Oops.
So they think they have some more time, so the Bad Batch decide that they are going to go on a treasure hunt around the Jedi Cruiser, trying to find anything that they can salvage, particularly weapons and any intel that they might be able to sell. They really want to clear that debt with Sid so they can kind of be free of her. Maybe still be employed, who knows, but they don't want to owe her anything at this point. Echo just straight up airs his grievances about the whole thing. They are soldiers, not smugglers, and they should have gone with Rex to attempt to fight the Empire. Omega and Tech are alerted to the Imperial ships arriving, but it's too late to make a quick getaway, unfortunately. Quick check-in back on Camino with Lama Su and Nala Se, who are debating whether to hire another bounty hunter to apparently get Omega back. Switch off back to Bracca. Crosshair successfully finds his bros, but he's unable to capture them because he sucks. Not a trooper, but
I mean,
he's
he's
a
pretty
dick.
good at his job.
He's
He
good at
just,
his
yeah,
job.
he's an asshole.
Hunter
Thank
leads
you.
the crew deeper into the cruiser, planning an attempt to escape through the ion engine. I mean, the thing's a piece of scrap. You would think that the engine is disabled.
Yeah, you would hope. You would hope that the engine was disabled.
I would think that's kind of the most important thing. Like, if the engine still works, why is it on the ground? Why didn't we fix it?
Well, and unfortunately, this is where Tech is like, oh, yeah, I turned everything on. Shit.
My boy,
It was
Tech with the comic relief yet again. Love it whenever Tech says
so
anything.
Yes, Tech is amazing in this episode. He's amazing in all the episodes, but this one, he's like, oh no. Whoopsies, turned on the engines. So Crosshair corners them yet again and has the ion engine activated. Omega's so cute. She's like, Crosshair wouldn't kill us, right? Right?
No, the sniper wouldn't kill us.
Everyone is like, yeah, he totally would. But he should know that his bros are absolutely insane. The Bad Batch proceeds to arm explosives around the engine, and their crazy plan work. The engine falls, like totally falls with them inside of it. This is fine. They're holding on for dear life. Crosshair is really badly burned by exposure to the ion drive. Whoopsies, should have thought about that.
He's alive, but very badly burned.
Very badly burned. I thought about that the entire time. I was like, oh no, is this an Austin Powers situation? What is happening? Oh man, he actually bounces back pretty quickly for being how
Bacta
injured he is. Yeah, Bacta is great, but I mean, he is like up and at him immediately, ordering the other clones around. Good on you, Crosshair, for just being that bad of an ass. Unfortunately, Hunter and Omega run into trouble as they're fleeing back to the Havoc Marauder. Cad frickin' Bane.
Hell yes.
That when they wandered in and were like, why are all of the clones dead? It's like, oh, like the clones didn't turn on each other, so this has to be something really big that's happening. This Clone Wars era bounty hunter is back, and he's just as deadly as ever. He defeats Hunter in a quick draw, Western style, very easily. I'm sorry, Hunter. Like, you're great, but you're not going to beat Cad Bane.
Hunter, he's a good tracker. He's not a gunslinger necessarily.
No, they don't really have a gunslinger. I mean, Crosshair was the sniper, but I don't know how good he would be at a quick draw.
Yeah.
Against someone as good as Cad Bane. I mean, he's got that hat. Let's just face it. That hat,
True.
It just means that he's a gunslinger. He can outshoot anybody. Cad Bane stuns Omega and takes her away. Wrecker, Tech, and Echo finally make it back to the ship, but they're too late. Cad Bane is gone with Omega, and Hunter is critically injured.
Ugh. It's very, very sad. All right, so next up we have episode 9, Bounty Lost. We open up on Crosshair attempting to apprehend the Bad Batch over Bracca. So he's already back in the ship. He's patched himself up a little bit. He's in the ship and he's in pursuit, and they are forced to just jump to hyperspace, letting Omega go with Cad Bane. They can't get to him in time. Cut to Cad Bane's starship, the Justifier, where Omega awakens in a cell. Unlike most morons in the Star Wars universe, she doesn't just start touching the force field around her cell. Like, she's aware of this. Admittedly, this is not her first time in the series in a cell. So we also have Cad Bane's droid, Toto 360, is lamenting his broken leg that got damaged in the fight with Hunter. Back on Kamino, Nala Se offers to go retrieve Omega, but Lamassu disagrees because of her connection with the clone and sends Tanwi to rendezvous with Cad Bane instead on the cloud station Boravia. Meanwhile, Omega manages to sweet talk Toto into letting her out of her cell so that she can fix his leg. So you know what? That like cutting wires and training and stuff that she was doing with Wrecker last episode, it pays off here because she does repair the leg and then promptly knocks him out.
Yep. Whoopsies. Like, I love you, my guy. I love a droid, but also no. I gotta get out of here. She's so cute. I love Omega in this episode. She's really like a go-getter. Like, she frees herself.
Oh yeah, she's absolutely on her own, and she knows it, and she's using everything that she's learned from each of the clones.
A lot of Ezra vibes from Omega here, being able to
Yeah.
escape on her own.
Yeah, no vent diving, but
No,
although she
not
does
yet.
get out, well, she gets out of the ship, but
Yes, she does great. Like, she's good at thinking on her feet.
hmm
Omega tries to escape, but she is caught between Cad Bane and glorious Fennec Shand is back in our lives. Hello, Migna Wen.
Yes.
So amazing. Love, love, love it. Who has arrived to quote unquote help her?
Yes, in her words, she's here to help.
She's here to help. I mean, obviously, she's got a blaster and a mask.
is shooting Cad Bane, so you know.
I mean that is helpful. But of course, Omega's like, no.
I'm still gonna run now, thank you.
Yeah, she's gonna run. Many fights ensue between Cad Bane and Fennec Shand, both with blasters and hand-to-hand, which was amazing. Their hand-to-hand fight was fantastic. It was like, oh shit, like you got your work cut out for you, Cad Bane. You used to be the best, and now here we have Fennec Shand. I do love that he
Don't take on Mulan in hand-to-hand combat. Just don't do it.
Just don't. Although if he would have been a superior badass, he would have been like, oh, I don't know you. But instead he says, he calls like her by her name, and it's like, oh, she has a reputation just like Cad Bane. This is great. I love it. They're both trying to capture Omega. The young clone escapes though, both of them, telling Shand that she doesn't believe her when she said she's there to help.
Smart girl.
Shand mentioned, is very smart, like just get the fuck out of there, Omega. Shand mentions that Lama Su wants to do to Omega is worse than anything she could imagine.
True. Earlier, Lama Su did say that they'll harvest what they need from Omega and then terminate her. Not good.
Yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah.
Can we get like a nice cloner doctor person?
Well, I think we have one. We have Nalase.
We have
supposedly.
Nalase, and we also have, I guess, our doctor guy from The Mandalorian said that he wasn't going to kill Grogu. And like tried to bodily protect him, but he's not quite on the same level yet that we know.
No, he's more like he's like the doctor from Jurassic Park. He's absolutely just gonna sell the cloning secrets and shit. Like, no. Anyway, so Omega does escape. Omega does escape, and the Bad Batch are able to intercept her, but not before Tech has done a little bit more digging into her. So she is the Omega to Boba Fett's Alpha, both exact genetic copies of Jango Fett with no tampering like other clones. I mean, other than the fact that Omega is a female. That does make her a non.
I guess they had to tamper with Boba then, right? Because according to Jurassic Park, you have to tamper with the female embryos to make them male.
You do, but when you're dealing with pure clones, I don't know how that works.
I know, it's like we need a scientist. Like, we need some science up in this Star Wars. It's not gonna happen. We know that, everyone.
No. So she is valuable to the Kaminoans, therefore, because of her genetics. Also answering one of my questions from way back during the Clone Wars, like after Jango Fett dies, could Boba be used as a clone source? Looks like the answer we might be leaning towards is yes.
Yes.
So Fennec has tampered with Cad Bane's ship, so he's unable to follow her off of Borovio. Fennec calls her contact / employer, which turns out to be Nalase. So she was on a direct contract with Nalase. Now, whether Nalase has Lama Su and Tom Wee in on this particular contract, we're not sure, because at least one Kaminoan, it looks like, has feelings and is willing to protect Omega. Those are, in fact, her orders, is to somehow protect her. Paying Fennec, she's paying her just to keep her out of Cad Bane's hands. That was the mission for this particular one. So as we leave the episode, Omega shares a pretty fraught moment where she's terrified. She knows what Lama Su wants to do to her now. And Hunter promises she will never have to go back to Kamino because they won't let her. They won't let it happen. I don't know if I'm using the phrase properly, but I'm pretty sure that's Chekhov's promise.
Yep.
There's not a chance in hell that this is gonna pay off well.
No, anytime you use a promise in this sort of aspect in a story, it's not. You mean well. Like, he means well. He wants to be a good dad. He wants to protect her, but this is not she's going to be captured at some point and made to go back to Camino, or at least made to.
Or
go
she's going to find
somewhere.
out something and she's going to have to convince them to take her back.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen at some
Yeah.
point. Whether it's if this is a one-shot series or if they're going to make it a multi-season series, it's hard to say what could happen. But I can see Endgame, her having to do something with the fall of Camino,
Mm-hmm.
which could be interesting.
Would be very interesting. All right,
Here for
Colleen,
that shit.
let's move ahead into our actual reactions. What did we think of these episodes, and what are some of our highlights?
I loved both of these episodes. My brother, interestingly enough, spoiled the reveal of Cad Bane on Friday morning at like 5:30 a.m. before I could watch the episode. I was a little
Remember,
miffed.
you texted us, like, you put it on our group thread. Like, immediately I woke up to a text of Colleen being like, my brother spoiled the episode.
I was so mad. And he's done this before. He is a spoiler person. He doesn't care about spoilers really himself, or so he says. But he still likes to accidentally, quote unquote, spoil things for people. And he spoiled the Cad Bane reveal for me in caps locks in a text. I was like, what? Because Cad Bane wasn't in the trailer, so I didn't know it was coming. Like, this was an actual spoiler. Like, if he had said Fennec Shand, I wouldn't have been as mad.
Right, because we expect to see her at some point.
Yeah, she's in the series. She's going to come back. Even with that, it was still a really fun episode. Loved seeing Cad Bane voiced to perfection. Just amazing. He's such a good voice. I love him. Cad Bane and his obsession with this hat. I thought it would be a lot more wide brimmed than usual, but I mean, he still looks like a cowboy, so it fits his persona perfectly.
Absolutely.
And then he's still rolling with his little droid buddy.
Of course, because when you get a droid buddy, you got to stick with them.
You stick with him, obviously. I wasn't sure if it was still Seth Green in the first episode, but by episode 9, I was like, yes, okay, this is him. Like, you can tell much more in Bounty Lost that it's Seth Green's voice. Loved Omega trying to reach out to Crosshair, even though his inhibitor chip was like, bam, bam, no, shoot her first. For real, he goes, yes, shoot her first. Like, wild move, Crosshair. I like that we are learning more about the Kaminoans and how they view the clones. Omega and Boba in particular, they're like the perfect specimens, basically, from Jango. And we get that little insight into their failed cloning experience. Super creepy. There was that Celestin clone, and then a Kaminoan. The one that falls on Fennec. I was like, at first I thought it was maybe some other
like an
species
Athorian or
of
something.
Yeah,
but
maybe
no,
an
it was
Athorian,
definitely
or it could have been a Duro. But it was a Kaminoan. I was like,
had me thinking of one of my other favorite shows, sci-fi shows, was Stargate SG-1, which has the Asgard, which are the basis of our little green men or little gray men aliens, the classic kind of alien shapes, and they propagated for millennia just through cloning. Like, they did not reproduce naturally anymore. They just transferred their consciousness from clone bodies to clone bodies. And it's got me thinking about, do the Kaminoans actually produce, or do they just clone them? Do they just clone themselves?
Are they clones? Ooh.
And is that an easy way to take out a civilization?
Like, I'm a clone, and now I'm connecting with Omega.
Yeah.
That could be. I mean, if you destroy their one planet and they're nowhere else, and they have no means of propagating themselves. Oh, it's so great. It's a lot like Fringe, too. There's a line on Fringe for a superior species. So on Fringe, the superior species, I mean, they think they're superior, but you're pretty easy to take out if you don't propagate normally.
Yeah.
Which I think is what's going to happen to the Kaminoans. It's coming. Like, we're eventually going to see them get wiped out in this series. It's coming.
I would think so, definitely.
What did you think?
I was so happy with these episodes. I thought they were both fantastic. I loved the whole first episode, getting kind of deeper and deeper into the ship. We kind of had it as like a horror movie going through in the episode 7 when they were going.
Both of these.
When they were going in. Yeah, but this one was a little bit less horror, just a little bit more like adventure. Like, there weren't creatures lurking around every corner this time.
That's true.
But it was still really, really cool. And I was just really happy to catch up with Crosshair and what's going on Camino. It's been missing for me the last few episodes. I'm like, we need to get back to this. Like we need to. But both of these episodes were really action heavy, which was great. And they still managed to move the plot forward a decent amount.
And be emotional.
They were doing everything all at once, and it was absolutely great. Like stuff from earlier episodes is coming back and is starting to pay off. We're getting some more answers. We're getting some more seeds planted for what's coming in the future. I'm just here to really know more, and I just want to see where we're going next. Also, I mean, I loved seeing Cad Bane back. He's always a great foil for whatever hero you happen to put in front of him.
Yes.
I will admit it had been a long time since we'd seen him. And so when he went over the edge, I absolutely forgot for a second about his rocket boots. And I was like, oh shit, maybe this is how we're going to lose Cad Bane.
No, he's always ready.
He's
got like that Mandalorian set of like anti-Jedi shit.
Yeah.
He's always ready to use, which is great. I love it. I love Cad Bane. I love that he is one of the strongest non-Jedi characters. I mean, in the Clone Wars, he's able to withstand a mental onslaught from 3 of them.
Yeah.
So he is not to be meddled with lightly. So good on you, Fennec, for getting the drop on him at all.
Absolutely.
Like twice. Like, well done, girl. Get after it, Ming-Na. Okay. Favorite moments. I love the duel of the toothpicks. We've got Cad Bane and Crosshair, both lovers of toothpicks in the same episode. I love it. Cad Bane ups the tension. They're like 1,000,000%. And then having Crosshair there too. It was like tension upon tension upon tension upon tension. Like this was a crackling episode. There was no downtime, really, which was interesting to see. I mean, we had a little bit where we were waiting for Crosshair to show up, but then once he did, it was like bam, 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 bam. It like nonstop action. It was really excellently done. Like producing, fantastic. The music, oh my god! The Kevin Kiner, he's just slaying. Yeah. This is like OK Corral, amazing Western vibes coming from these episodes too, along with the intense horror sci-fi aspect coming to it. Love the Hunter POV shot at the end of episode 8. Where it was just him. Oh god, when they're like, he's been shot in the chest, and Wrecker's like, where's Omega? And Hunter's like, I've seriously been shot. Like, get me in the ship for God's sake, and then we can try and find Omega. It was a really great choice, I think, because we need more of Hunter. Like we really do. If he's going to be the dad, like if he's the dad and the other clones are kind of like the fun uncles, we really need more of Hunter. And I like how this kind of parallels Agent Callus from Rebels in one of his episodes where we get his POV shot early on in an episode. I'm like, okay, if this is where we're going, I love focusing on Hunter. Give us more. He can't just be Rambo in space. We need him to be something else. For the second episode, I love that kind of alien resurrection feeling to the green in the clone pods. It's like, oh shit, like this is not good. This is an abandoned station. Like this is not a good place for any of our heroes to be. The Kaminoans are up to some wild shit. But I do love that there's the outlier. Like there's always got to be an outlier. There always has to be somebody who breaks the mold, and it's Nala Se for our Kaminoans. She's developed a bond with Omega, who I'm sure Lama Su's like, what the fuck is happening here? Like we don't have feelings. We don't get attached to our creations.
Not clones. Not like, clones,
they're clones. They're not people. Like they're property. But Nala Se is like, she my girl though. So we're gonna help keep her safe. I do like that aspect of it. I love that it's kind of implanted since the first episode with their matching headpieces. Like Nala Se is obviously imprinted on this clone. Like this is her baby, basically. I think this could end up fucking over the Kaminoans in the end, though. This connection that she has, because she's not going to be loyal to her people. And I don't know how that's going to play out exactly, but I don't think it's going to be good. Like, yes, good that she saves Omega many, many times over, but
bad for the future for people.
Bad for the future for people. Especially if Omega or Boba are the only, like, hope, quote unquote, hope for their future. I love the Cad Bane and Fennec are so well matched. It's great. I love that it's an alien and a woman. Like, yes, give it to us, please. I love that Boba is quote unquote missing. Like, where is he? Where the fuck did he go? We just saw him in the Clone Wars. Like, he hasn't been off of our screens for that long, but I guess he's missing for the Kaminoans. Maybe.
Yeah, they're not sure where to find him. I would actually think Cad Bane would be the one to know where he is. But I don't know.
Cad Bane or or Ventress, where he is, maybe. We will find out, I think.
At this particular point in the timeline, I don't think Ventress is going to be able to tell us much. If we take Dark Disciple as canon.
Considering where we are.
Yeah.
I know. But she would be one of the people who would actually have known where he might have been.
Yes, she would have been.
I'm crying. Now I'm sad. You've sadded me. Everything's fine. How about you? Favorite moments?
All right, so this is a really, really small moment. I'm personally just really curious about what Plan 7 is. So when they're in the Ion Engine, I think it's Hunter recommends Plan 7, and Tech is just like,
Wrecker.
Yeah.
Like, what about Plan 7?
And they're just like, that does not apply here. It was a great, I want to know what this is, like, but it was really cool to see the engine plan come to fruition, like detaching the engine from everything. Now, I didn't include this in the Easter egg section because I think it's a little bit too loose of a connection, but I wonder if the idea of Plan 7 is in fact a reference to the Young Justice TV series, where one of their go-to moves is quote unquote Maneuver 7, which kind of involves like you launching your fighting partner across the room to fight someone else.
Oh, the Kane and Ezra move.
More or less, yeah, kind of like the Kane and Ezra move. Black Canary, she's a great teacher. And I know he's under the control of the inhibitor chip, but it's really satisfying for me to see Crosshair get like fried by that engine. Dude's just a dick. Always has been.
He's a huge dick. Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, the surprise of seeing Cad Bane. I did not expect to see Cad Bane this season. I was really pumped.
So glad it wasn't spoiled for you. Everything's fine.
Yes, it's okay. Like I said earlier, I do like the fact that Omega did in fact fix Toto's leg, and even after she escaped, he was like, "Dude, this is perfect. This is so well done.
Look at this craftsmanship."
She's not trying to hurt anybody. She even like recalibrated his brain so that it worked better than when she initially put it on. Before she also recalibrated his brain to knock him out. I was really satisfied with the Kaminoans in episode 9. This is the Lamassu that I remember from the Clone Wars TV series. I've been like trying to reconcile the Kaminoans that we've seen so far in Bad Batch with the ones in Clone Wars, because they've seemed on two very different levels.
Yeah.
This was very much the kind of ruthless type that tracks more with the back dealing kind of slimy little sneaks that they ended up being during the Clone Wars series, whereas for most of the Bad Batch so far, they've been kind of like on their heels, doing a little bit more like scrambling. So it was really good to see that, and I'm just here for any chance to say Ming-Na Wen, whether in real life or in animation form. It is a welcome chance that I take very enthusiastically. More Fennec Shand.
Yes, give us more. She looks amazing. 10 out of 10. No notes.
All right, now moving into our Easter eggs, connections, and callbacks. And let's start off with proton torpedoes. So when they're on the treasure hunt, kind of going through the Jedi cruiser, Omega comes across a crate of proton torpedoes that Wrecker is very, very excited about. He is stoked. And Hunter thinks that these are also and Hunter also thinks that these are going to be the things that maybe they can sell off to Sid to pay their debts. Now, if proton torpedoes sounds familiar, they are, in fact, the weapon that they have to use to take out the Death Star in A New Hope, because that tiny little vent hole was ray shielded. You had to use proton torpedoes.
Yep. It seems like proton torpedoes are also big in sci-fi in general.
Yeah, generally they're a pretty solid weapon. Proton is just a good like sci-fi sounding word.
Yes. Proton and torpedo. It's Navy, it's sci-fi. We're going to go with it.
Yes.
So next we have Cad Bane. He's back, y'all. This dude, along with his droid companion Toto 360 and their ship, the Xanadu Blood. I love the Xanadu Blood. Xanadu, the steely home of Charles Foster Bane. I mean, Kane. Like, yes. Thank you, Star Wars, for giving us a Citizen Kane reference. They appear throughout the Clone Wars, notably during arcs involving invading the Jedi Temple, in which they broke Zero the Hutt.
Colleen's favorite.
Not my favorite, Anders. I see this note in the notes, and this is inaccurate. Fuck Zero the Hutt, y'all. He deserved to die. Everything's fine. They broke him out of prison, and then they also helped the Separatists recruit other bounty hunters into a plot to assassinate Chancellor Palpatine, which didn't work because Obi-Wan is really good at undercover work. Cad Bane is known
Also
as
because
one of the
that was never
greatest
real.
bounty hunters. I mean, yeah, it was never really real. I mean, it never was. They were never going to kill him. Cad Bane probably would have if
Cad Bane would have, but Dooku was never going to let it happen.
No, Dooku was not going to let it happen. There are some weird plots that go on in the Clone Wars. This is one of them. Cad Bane is pretty much the #1 bounty hunter in the galaxy during the Clone Wars and after, now that we see. He is a really interesting character. There was an unproduced arc in the Clone Wars TV series that involved Boba Fett killing him. So we maybe have that to look forward to in this series. Maybe Boba comes into his own and becomes the #1 by killing Cad Bane. This is a lot of rule of 2 situation going on here. Like, oh, I have to kill Cad Bane in order to be #1. Okay, I can do that. At this point, he's a teenager, so if he does it, good on you, Boba. I'm sure it was a mistake or an accident. His ship in the series, Cad Bane's ship in the series, is called the Justifier. So he must have switched to a new ship sometime between the Clone Wars ending and the Bad Batch episodes starting.
Maybe Boba stole it.
Interesting.
He's got to go find Slave 1. We're not sure where it went. I don't know.
Exactly. We don't have Slave 1 yet, so he might have taken the Xanadu. Oh my God. How could he dare take the ship of Charles Foster Kane?
Bane, something. I don't know. Anyway, next up, unfortunately, we do say goodbye to Taun We. She does get killed in the fight between Cad Bane and Fennec. Taun We is the first Kaminoan we ever met, all the way back in Attack of the Clones. She's the one who gives Obi-Wan the tour of the facility, brings him to meet Lama Su. We've seen her a few times, and here now we officially say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm sure you were an asshole. That's why Fennec killed you.
I'm sure she was. She was always one of the more ambiguous ones, though. Like Lama Su is definitely just an asshole. And she was like kind of nice-ish.
Yeah, nice-ish.
Yeah.
Let Obi-Wan in. He was like, "Oh, you're a Jedi. Come on." You got the robe. Everything's fine.
Yes.
And next we have Borvio. Beautiful cinematography on these shots.
Yep.
This is the first appearance of this abandoned cloning facility, but it evokes a lot of imagery of places we've seen before. It obviously is a Kaminoan facility, like the shapes and things look very Kaminoan.
The doors are very,
Yes, everything is very smooth and like organic looking shapes, especially when Omega goes into the escape pod. It looks very much like a creature as opposed to a ship, which is really cool. Like paying attention to details. Thank you, team. It's also very reminiscent of Cloud City on Bespin, where it's in the planet's atmosphere instead of being on planet. The cloning tanks with the abandoned experiments were called the Exegol facilities in Rise of Skywalker. And the brief glimpse we saw in The Mandalorian, much better in The Mandalorian. To me, this facility also calls back to the Lost World Jurassic Park. Yes.
Again,
when the group
Jurassic
stumbles
Park.
across the original site for the park. You have to wonder why Kaminoans abandoned this place. Like, why were they there? Is this maybe their original homeworld? Is the atmosphere better? Or is this some forbidden experiment that was going on?
Or is the atmosphere worse? Did they find out that going down closer to planet makes for better cloning? And that's why they're down on the surface on Kamino.
That makes sense. I mean, we don't know how long this has been abandoned. We don't know how long those things have been in their tanks, but Fennec stood up and was covered in that nasty water and looked pretty upset about it.
She was
so I'm
not
guessing
happy.
It was ripe. Like there was some nastiness happening there. Like, oh, I just got draped in a Kaminoan clone body. This is fine.
Yes.
No, just no.
No. All right, and lastly, we have the mentions of Boba Fett and Generation 1 DNA. So in Attack the Clones, Lamassu mentions that in addition to his pay, Jango Fett just requested a completely unaltered clone for himself. And like I said earlier,
Mhm.
this does kind of beg the question, could you clone Boba if he has not been altered?
Mhm.
Looks like the answer is yes. And this, of course, this unaltered clone became his son Boba, but now we know that there is also another one, and it is Omega. I'm kind of curious, does this make them twins? Like, are they the same age? Is Omega younger? I wonder
I
if she's
think
Gen
Omega's
1.
younger. I mean, she seems like she's younger because Boba's like what, 13 at this point? 14?
Yeah. But
She
Omega,
seems like she's
I can't,
10.
yeah, but I can't quite pinpoint it. Especially if their
Like she might have
names
been
are
made
Alpha and
at
Omega.
the same point, but she wasn't like awakened, maybe.
Maybe
Yeah,
they
I mean
didn't
they're
grow
definitely
her.
supposed to be, yeah, they didn't grow her, or they let her sit in stasis for a while before they let her out. But the Alpha Omega definitely insinuates that they're some sort of twin or at least a pair, like they're
Yeah.
a pair together. And female male, Adam and Eve, there's a lot of
A lot of
biblical
that.
shit happening here.
I mean, making them twins would also just very much invoke Alpha, Omega, Luke, and Leia
Mm-hmm.
as the
Mm-hmm.
twins that can either save or destroy the Kaminoans or the
Mm-hmm.
galaxy as a whole. You never know. Book of Boba Fett is still
Whoopsies.
coming.
Don't give the galaxy to the Mandalorians, please.
Either way, Lamassu is hell bent on getting Omega back because he doesn't know where Boba is.
Nope, nobody knows where
And
Boba is.
wants that Generation 1 DNA. And if she was created pretty much around the same time as Boba, curious about what happens to Omega after the series. Book of Boba Fett just finished shooting. So could we possibly
Can
see
we find a
Omega?
Lady Boba?
Could Omega show up on her brother's TV show?
Oh
So
my
many
god,
questions.
I would die. I'd be like, ah, oh my god, if she's still alive, that would be amazing. Would love it. All right, so next we're going to move into our prediction and our questions for the next episode. Ooh, I wish Hunter would be able to keep his promise. We talked about this a little bit. I have a bad feeling that Omega's going to end up back on Kamino at some sort of final showdown. For now, though, Fennec and Cad Bane are on her tail. Like, I think this is going to continue.
Yeah,
I
there's no way to
don't.
shake these two.
Yeah, you have to keep Fennec and Cad Bane in the game now that they're here. Now, I think we might not see Rex again. I think we might have seen the last of Rex. We might have seen the last of the Martez sisters. Like, we just kind of caught a glimpse of them.
Mhm.
This is more like the soldiers / smugglers on the run from the bounty hunters and the Empire now. Like, they've kind of laid their feet down, but unfortunately, Crosshair is coming. Like, Crosshair is not going to just let them go.
Yeah.
It's going to end up in some sort of horrific showdown, which I'm sure no one will die and everyone will be happy and fine.
Everyone will be fine.
Oh, it's fine. Still think the Kaminoans are doomed and that this is the main purpose of the series. Like, yes, hooray for family that you found.
Hooray for family that you found, also destroyed, and this is how we got stormtroopers.
Yes, like this is the rise, basically, of the Empire. Like the Empire, yes, has taken over, but they are not necessarily in complete control yet. And we're going to see the clones fall, and we're going to see the Kaminoans fall, and we're going to see Palpatine just be like, yeah, we're good now. And
Yeah.
Tarkin be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the Grand Moff of the Outer Rim now. Bye, Rampart. I think Rampart is definitely also going to fall.
Yes, he will meet his
Yes.
end.
And Tarkin will take responsibility for everything that he did.
Yeah, I mean, after this week, I think it's definitely guaranteed we're going to see Boba. If not next week, the week after. So we've crossed the halfway point. We've got 7 episodes left. I definitely think we see Boba in the next couple of weeks. Whether or not he shows up again after that, or if it's just like a 1 or 2 episode arc, I don't know. I'm personally kind of curious. I want to know if the Bad Batch is ever going to actually return to Sid's. Part of me wants her to, because I like having that like base of operations for a week-to-week kind of mission thing.
Yeah.
Like it was really nice when the Ghost crew had Adelon and they were always like coming back, and it was a central place. I think some people haven't really been in on Sid as a character. I think she's fine. I like her.
Sid.
Yeah. And if But otherwise, they might just try and like kind of lay low somewhere where absolutely no one knows who they are. Less risky that someone will sell them out.
That's true.
So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, I think there's a lot going on in this series, a lot more than I thought was going to be. I thought it was going to be a 6-episode.
I definitely thought at the beginning, when this series was first announced and they were talking about this and some of the Marvel stuff, definitely thought this was only going to be a 6 or 7 episode thing.
Yep. And now it has turned into something much different than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be very rewarding at the end. I think we're going to have our hearts broken into many, many pieces.
Pieces.
But I think they have a plan and where they're
taking
taking us, which is amazing.
And I think this might be a chance. I mean, speaking of seeing Boba, this is probably going to happen. Like Dave Filoni has his chance to produce the arc where Boba kills Cad Bane.
Yes. I think we're going to get that. I think we will.
We're going to ultimately get that.
We need it. We need to know like why Cad Bane isn't around. Like there's a reason that Boba is the #1 bounty hunter in the time of the original trilogy. Like,
yes,
Cad Bane's not that old. Like he could have still been active during that time. And here we're getting the rise of Boba Fett now too. Like, oh shit.
Just in time for the book of Boba Fett. Everything's connected.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Yes. All right, everybody. Well, that is going to be it for the Bad Batch today. Please follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave us those 5-star reviews. Check out our website at bohemiangeekstudies.com. You can watch all of our episodes, enjoy Colleen's Book Corner, where she's reviewing Star Wars literature, and contact us through email and social media. And as always, keep telling other nerdy nerds to join us. That really does help. You can also head over to ForgottenEntertainment.com. Check out all the offerings from the Forgotten Entertainment family, including yet another Star Wars podcast, where Colleen, myself, and our co-host Daniel just wrapped up our run where we rewatched all of the films in the current Star Wars canon. That was so much fun.
It was so much fun. I cannot wait. I can't wait for Daniel to be back with us too for Bad Batch.
Because, yes, he's been out for a couple of weeks and we need him back. But until next time, ion engines and dismembered droid limbs up. Keep those episodes streaming. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.